I'm Wyatt Cash with Scoop News Group, and we're here at FedScoop's ITModTalks with Brendan Curley, Vice President Sales for the Document Cloud at Adobe. Brendan, thank you so much for joining us.
Wyatt, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So we're about a year or more into the Biden administration now, and I'd be curious to get your perspective on where you've seen some of the greatest progress in IT modernization over the past year or so.
Thanks for asking, Wyatt. I tell you, I really believe that it's really about this shifting in moving from a traditional work environment to remote and to long-term hybrid. And you think about the effects of that change has had on everyone, and especially the government. And when I think about where the Biden administration has been successful, is really been their investment in digital and mobile, and trying to figure out how to minimize anything that's paper-based, and to focus on how we can work with anything that's citizen-facing. You know, especially with the recent executive order on streamlining service delivery and improving customer service, I think is a really good example of that investment. But with these changes, it's clear that the government services need to meet people where they are. And they're not in the office anymore. They're in their home. They're in their car. They're working mobily. And so we need to do our part to make that as easy and accessible as possible, while at the same time we want to limit vulnerability. I think a good example of that is when you think about some of the minority populations or a poor population where they rely on their phones for internet. Mobile-friendly forms and government websites can help make that easier for those communities to access those services.
That's a great point. Next, let me get your perspective on how IT modernization has helped federal agencies get a better handle on securing their most valuable systems.
Well, I'd say it really does play off of the first question, Wyatt. And when I think about this, really what happened was there was a rush, as you'd hope and as you expected, is with the pandemic. We had to change the way we were doing business. The government had to engage differently. And I think with that, there was we didn't skip steps, I wouldn't think, but there's certainly a focus now more so than ever on compliance. So we went out quickly out of the gate, and now we need to go back and make sure that that everything's working properly and it's accessible to everybody in the space. When I think about this, a good example of a friend told me, which I really liked, was she said, "I'm not an expert in security, but when I leave my car, I lock it. Or when I get ready to go to bed at night, I lock my doors." And so we can do some more basics here. I'll give you a good example is the Patent and Trademark Office uncovered a scam by a Pakistani company that used the patent's official seal and falsified some documents in order to make fake trademark filings. And this threatened really, the integrity of the patent office. And you think about what that did in a couple different levels. One, they were robbing people of dollars that they were spending to get their applications processed, but also it really hurt the idea of a trust in government and trust in the patent office. And so it's so important in this day and age that we're securing and we're taking care of our basics and starting at that point.
I appreciate your sharing that example. You alluded earlier to the White House executive order to improve the customer experience with citizens. Can you talk a little bit more about how you've seen federal agencies really take steps to deliver better digital services to the American citizens?
Sure. And Wyatt, this one's very special and dear to my heart, as I come from the CX world, in that I'm very interested in the possibilities with improving citizen satisfaction. But I tell you where I think, where we are today is, one of the things the administration did earlier this year is they were really focused on assessing and reducing barriers for those experiencing, in trying to engage with the government, trying to have different experiences with the government. Improving the digital front door, if you will, is critical in citizen buy-in and improving customer experience throughout their journey. And what this means to me, if you think about it, we do some work with the California Department of Technology, and we are helping them with their workflow in procurement. And you think about what the possibilities are in that space is that we're enabling e-signatures that then now enables them to manage a procurement workflow in a few hours and not in a couple of days or weeks like it might have been in the past. And that effect on people in terms of the company procuring or what the state of California is purchasing, but also think about what that does to the employee, that instead of it taking 2 weeks, it takes them a couple hours. What else can they do and become so that much more efficient in helping the citizen in terms of citizen experience? So it really is twofold in terms of that. And that's what I really have enjoyed. But I think coming back to those assessments, we're going to learn a lot more about how the different agencies, especially the high impact service providers, are going to engage in improving customer and citizen satisfaction.
And then finally, Brendan, what across the federal IT landscape stands out to you as having the biggest potential or need for modernization in the coming years?
Well, thanks, Wyatt, for asking. I really believe it's paper and paper and paper, and that the paper process could significantly slow modernization efforts. It really will. And that reducing paperwork and modernizing digital product processes is a major challenge across agencies. When I think of it is, the Colorado Department of Transportation uses Adobe, and they have a problem shipping, huge amounts of documents and paper, when they're thinking about how to move that and to move it in a safe way, to move it in an environmentally conscious way. And then how do they account for all the changes that have to happen? Who's signing off on this change and when and why? And being able to simply track all of that in a digital format and then engaging once at the end if need be for a print. It just changes the way you think about data and think about the way we work with paper. And not only this example, but think of all the uses that could be digitized in the government, not only state and local, but in the federal. Think about Social Security or IRS or some of the larger entities, and how that a digital transformation in terms of documents will really have an impact on all of what we've talked about today, but especially that citizen experience. And when I think of the paperwork processes, as much as the federal workforce and enabling support are working fully or partially remote, the agility to complete projects digitally without reliance on a printer is really, really critical. On a final note, I wanted to share that Adobe, we are in the final phases of our FedRAMP moderate pursuit, and that we're looking for our certification in the next couple of months, which we're really excited about. This will enable us to do what we've been a lot talking about today, which is to provide a safe and secure environment for the government to transact and to do that safely. So we are committed to the public sector, and that this will be a really interesting opportunity for us to explore together, and that really look forward to the best is yet to come here at Adobe moving forward in the public sector. But I really want to thank you for your time, and look forward to continuing our discussions down the road.
Terrific. Well, Brendan Curley, thank you so much for joining us and sharing some of your insights on IT modernization in government.